homes have a charge like this built into the buyer's contract.
So that's our investigations reporter Charlie Haynes speaking about the issues with some residents that they're having with the property management company First Port. Charlie read a bit out of their statement. They say service charges have risen across our entire industry. Our fees are reviewed regularly to ensure that they are reasonable, and we take our responsibilities very seriously. We work hard to meet the high standards our customers rightly expect. Now, you are going to hear from somebody after the news at 8 o'clock who has been personally affected by the situation, but it is something that's being raised in Parliament. The Rushcliffe MP, James Naish, is with us this morning. A very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. So tell me exactly, I suppose you're a Rushcliffe MP, James. How many of your constituents does this affect? How wide is this problem?
I think the problem is in some ways not fully understood because it's something that's been evolving over the past decade as new houses in particular have been built. They've been built in different ways, and one of the consequences is that where you've got big, large open spaces especially, you're starting to see these service management companies be used, and therefore it's a problem that's growing year on year really as you work through the building process. Historically, councils would have adopted these bits of land, but as you will know, local government has had plenty of cost pressures in recent years, and so this was seen, I think, initially as a good alternative. But as was just described there, it is a really big problem for people. The reality of home ownership is a dream. A lot of people get there. You don't necessarily look at the T's and C's as you're moving through the purchasing process, and then you get there and realise that costs can spiral quite quickly.
It's interesting as well, isn't it? Problem. James, it is interesting that actually this is something that we normally associate with flats, don't we? Blocks of flats have these service charges, but now it seems to be affecting houses as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's estates, and I think it was alluded to just there in the report. Things like looking after the sustainable drainage systems that often support new estates. There will be a charge to that. There's often land put aside for biodiversity or for woodland, and there are certain checks and balances that need to be done there. So there is an understandable reason as to why these charges are in place. But I think for a lot of people, what you're doing is you're looking at the bill and you're seeing 40-50% of that is actually administration costs. And of course, these spaces continue to be, it's certainly outside spaces, continue to be accessible to the general public.
Okay.
So those who are living on the estate are paying for something that actually could be used by everybody.
So it's interesting then. So there's an understanding that there's a reason behind it, but the question over is how much. So it's just that it's too high.
I think, there's absolutely a cost question. I think what the government is also looking to do is look at the structure moving forward. If more houses are being built, is this approach the right way to manage these big estates and blocks of flats, etc., in the future? So it is extremely complicated because you've got different types of housing in different locations. You've got the balance between freehold and leasehold, and you've got housing associations. There's all sorts of different permutations, and that's why the government is very clear that it will act on this, but it is going to take some time to unpick it. In the meantime, what a lot of MPs are trying to do is to provide very practical support to people that are impacted. So I've been in meetings already, having only been elected in July. I've joined residents in meetings with First Port, actually, which was referenced in the report, to work through what are the short-term issues that we're facing, why are bills as high as they are, what can we do to make sure that work is accelerated to make sure that those who are living in these scenarios feel that they're at least getting the service level that they are paying for.
You can challenge them, can't you? You have a right to challenge the company.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's complex because not every structure is the same. So sometimes you have companies that have been set up and everybody is part of that company. Sometimes you've got tenants associations. There is a level of variation, which means that it isn't a consistent process. And that's why MPs in Parliament are trying to work together to look at the individual big companies and actually have a dialogue with them, because we're seeing that it's not just the Rushcliffe problem, it's not just the Bassett Law problem, it's not just the Derbyshire Dales problem. There are common companies and common links across the country, and it's trying to break them down and put them into action.
Can I just read out this message that's just come through, actually, James, in the last couple of moments, which is, it's interesting to know your thoughts on this. It's from Adam, who's in Southall, so he's out of Rushcliffe. He says, my mum's apartment service fee has gone up from £500 to £2,000 a year over time to cut grass and to wash a few communal windows. It's crackers, he says. Remember this is charged 26 to 30 times, as it's each apartment paying this fee. It needs regulating, says Adam. Even my housing estate has it.
Yeah, and they're those conversations that I think a lot of MPs are having with constituents, and that's where MPs, I think, are trying to play both that practical role but also that legislative role. The legislative bit is going to take time. It's a complicated step up. You've got future scenarios which are probably a bit easy to manage. You've got the historic issues that have been embedded over the last couple of decades. So that's going to be a challenge, but the government is committed to absolutely driving forward reform. On the practical side, I've had a couple of people send me statements from 2022, 2023. I've got a spreadsheet in front of me at the moment, actually, which is looking at where did those charges go up? And in a lot of cases, we know inflation was high, but these costs were going up well above inflation, and they then need challenging.
OK, James, fascinating stuff. Thank you for joining us this morning. Rushcliffe MP James Naish there, talking about these service charges that are